Facebook pages, so people are also watching on Facebook. I saw a few people from Kabbalah saying, "Oh my God!" All right, so we are live. So thank you, Andrea, for taking the time to come in and chat with us. I don't know who's watching us, but you are very welcome. And we are going to be talking about Rukundo International, which is a nonprofit organization. Andrea will be telling us all the things, amazing stuff they're doing for the communities back home in Uganda and mostly in Kabale. And she'll also share with us maybe what her goals are for the organization. Also, what are the future plans? I know I saw somebody asking me already. It's like, are they going to spread it to the rest of the of the other parts in Uganda, or like Kampala or Gulu and whatever? So I couldn't answer any of those. Sorry, guys, but Andrea will tell us, and she might also share with us what have been her challenges, as an organization, or as for her as a founder of the organization, and what have been the blessings as well for her. So, Andrea, you are so welcome. If you can introduce yourself to everyone who's watching.
Thanks so much, Brenda, and thanks so much for having me here today to talk about Rukundo, my passion. So I'm Andrea Sedlak. I founded Rukundo in 2014 after working in Uganda since 2009 at a school near Lake Bunyoni, Kingoma Primary. And I just wanted to shift a focus to something more sustainable. I also have a full-time job at the National Institutes of Health. So I run Rukundo on a volunteer basis, as do all of our other staff here in the U.S. We have paid staff in Uganda, but all of our staff here in the U.S. are volunteers, just like myself.
Nice. So, all right. So what you just said, you have like so many hats on. Can you share with me how you are balancing your both? Like what's happening here? Like you actually have a full-time job with NIH. Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's actually really awesome. Nice.
Yeah. It's a good place. It's a great place to work all of the time. But
yeah. My husband is in research, so he was in Uganda. That's how we met. But he was doing HIV and AIDS in Uganda, and so I know he talks about NIH all the time. But now he's into cancer here. But anyways, yeah. So how are you balancing that stuff, Andrea?
Well, I'm always a transparent person. It's one of our core values. I'm not. And that's why we're always looking for more volunteers, more people who want to give back. We have several gaps here in development and communications. So if anybody knows anyone who would like to volunteer, which I know is a struggle, everyone has their own lives too. We are looking for people in those roles, but I manage because it is so important.
Yes.
The work we do. And once you start, there's no going back. There's no end to the need and the work that needs to be done. So, I managed to come home and eat dinner and start work kind of all over again. But that's definitely a big challenge and something that, we're working toward growing our organization, and we're turning 8 in January. We're at that natural pivot point of maybe growing to something bigger. We do hope to have paid staff here in the United States who can take us to the next level. So that's very much in our 3-year plan, is moving towards, a paid model in the States, which we think will take us, hopefully to another level that we haven't reached quite yet.
Right. So you just asked for volunteers. How do people volunteer? And where should they be from? So where do you need volunteers?
Sure. Mostly here in the States. We obviously have all of our paid staff in Uganda, and they do a fantastic job with implementing, monitoring the programs on the ground. So the volunteers that we need are here stateside. So mostly like writers, editors, people who have experience with different types of fundraising, that type of thing, running special events, running online events now in today's COVID world.
Yeah.
We usually ask for 5 to 10 hours a month, which isn't, so much because we still are small and grassroots. So it's not, a huge commitment, but, and we have our opportunities posted on Volunteer Match.
Okay. All right. That's good. Oh, well, So if you're there and you're watching, yes, please reach out. I'll put Andrea's email address in the description if you feel you would love to be part of this amazing organization and volunteer your time. I don't think, but now everybody can actually do it if they, I mean, it's online,
Yeah,
like it's
everything's
remote.
virtual these days. So
Yeah. So I see my friend Coach Remy. Coach Remy, if you want to volunteer, I know you are in Europe a few hours because the time difference. Yes, you might be able to to stagger in a few hours of your time in the evening. But thank you guys for joining. I see so many comments here. I'm not ignoring you guys. Winball, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Patience, Tumahere, nice to meet you. That one is definitely from the West. Coach Remy, I see you. Patricia Asimwe, I see you. Guys, thank you so much. Please like the video and share with your friends and families. Let's have this organization growing as fast as we can, as big as we can, to get any donations, any volunteers, like Andrea will be telling us. So Andrea, what were you doing in Uganda in 2009? Were you teaching? What took you to Uganda?
I actually went on a mission trip with my church, Journeys Crossing, and we ended up in Kabale. And we were doing like a reading camp and a vacation Bible school. So encouraging the children to get books and to make sure that they're reading, in their spare time to develop a reading culture. And also just having a little fun through like a vacation Bible school type activity. And I just fell in love with the country and the people. And yeah, I'm still there.
You're still there. Now, everybody might be asking, how often are you on ground? You have a full-time job here in the US. When are you ever in Uganda, for example?
Yeah, so I was visiting twice per year. Since we've got the school up and running. I would go usually in like April and October every year. But I haven't been since October of 2000.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just not a lot of reason for me to travel when our programs aren't open. And I know our staff, have everything under control. So, but and let's hope it's not an if, let's hope a when they open schools in January, I do hope to get there very soon after they reopen. So
yeah, now that brings me to another question for you. How has COVID affected? I know part of the projects that you started a school, or I should say that organization started a school for the little kids. Actually, how old are the kids? How old do you have to be in that school?
So we start with baby nursery class, which is 3-year-old. And right now we go up to P2, and we're adding a grade level with each calendar year. So we add a new baby class and then progressively graduate the rest of the classes up. So they're mostly 3 to 7 right now.
Okay, 3 to 7. Yeah, that's a good one. How was your reception in the village? Like did people welcome your idea?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, that was a big part of our key strategies before we ever laid the first brick in our school, was showing the community that we weren't there for just this small subset of students who we would serve through the school, but our school also doubles as a community center. So the day the school opened, it opened as a community center, and every child in the community that's of primary school age can come on Sundays to get a hot meal, to get an educational lesson. We're working on when it's open, that is. I'm teaching practical skills to the students, like baking, things like that they can then utilize to earn a small income at home. So that's Sundays, and we call it Amani Gabato, which I'm sure.
What is it?
It's the power of kids. Don't make me say that again. I'm not Ugandan. My Ruchiga is very bad.
That was hilarious. Amani Gabato, I think that was Amani Gabato. Yes. Oh.
And we also, we empower the women, because we know like the school can't succeed if they're not supported in their communities. So we have a mushroom growing cooperative and a goat program to empower the mothers. and a soccer program for the boys. So we're trying to just make sure that we have programs for every single person in
Yes.
the community. And we knew that would increase the community buy-in. We do educational lessons like typhoid awareness, and things like that from the school 3 times per year, in partnership with the local health centers. And we do free medical clinics and things like that to make sure that, we have that community buy-in that we need.
Okay. Wow. So that is a lot of work, Andrea. Like, that is a lot of service. So on how many people do you, how many staff do you have back home in Kabale right now?
We have almost 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And some range from, cleaners, cooks, and teachers, I'm imagining.
And then we have some other subsidiary programs that don't run out of our schools. So we have a girls empowerment program that was running in 7 UPE schools. And we also have a scholarship program for kids that are older who can't, or in a different catchment area than our school. And we sponsor another 28 kids, outside of Rukundo preparatory schools. So we have a scholars coordinator, we have a girls empowerment program coordinator, jobs like that are outside of the school. And then of course an office staff, a manager and administrative assistant and accountants and things.
Yeah, that's amazing. So who do you, is it like the ones that you sponsor, the older kids, are they still in Kabale region? Are you in touch with Grace?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. Because I was chatting with her earlier. She's like, "Oh, you're talking to Andrea." But that's amazing. So, wow, has the government of Uganda helped you at all? What have you reached out to them? What you're doing is empowering, not only to the children, but even to the women, and even creating employment opportunities for people in those communities, and the health services that you're giving for free. So I feel like, have you reached out to the government?
Not at the top level, but we have a very good relationship with the district education officer who supports us through the girls empowerment program, the LCs, and the school inspectors and things like that. So more at the local level, because we're so far removed from Kampala. It's a much smaller type government kind of where we serve. But yeah, we were, they partnered with us for COVID relief. So for some of our distributions, they provided security and things like that for us when we did the COVID distributions.
Okay, cool. Wow. Because I'm wondering, actually, Ruhakana Rugunda is from Kabale, and he usually likes such programs, especially for Kabale. And I know Ruth is in close contact with Ruhakana Rugunda, who's the former, I think, prime minister, not prime minister, maybe internet,
So I'm pretty sure he was prime minister. I met him one time in his office, but it was before we had a lot of programs and things like that. So
it's just a thought, you might, if you can reach out, ask Ruth and see, because I know she's actually been successful in reaching out to the government. You never know. If you get any help, great. If you don't, that's fine. You tried. But I think it will be also a good hand for you. Now, who qualifies to join those programs, like the school, like the babies? Are they any kids in the village where you are, or what do they have to have or not have to join?
So for the girls empowerment program that we run in the public schools, that's any child who's in 6th grade. So that program is open to everyone. Our scholarship program is based on need. So we do home visits and, income verifications. And we try to accept the students who really need it the most, but who also have the capacity to succeed.
Yes.
Sometimes the children in the very rural villages don't always have the academic background necessary to be thrown into a high-level secondary school, for example.
Right.
So in those situations, we usually do vocational school. For our flagship program, our school, I've already told you the community center is open to everyone. There's no, requirement other than age. Our school itself, we do charge school fees because we want a sustainable model.
I was going to ask.
For most of our students. So we sponsor some students, but it's like a sliding scale. Some pay full fees, some pay partial fees, and some pay nothing at all based upon, what their families can afford. And I like that model because I've tried to make sure that the children who aren't paying are being treated the exact same way as the children who are paying. Because even the children who are paying, their fees only cover 20% of our operating costs.
How much is that on how much shillings do they pay for school fees?
150,000 per term.
Okay, per term.
But we do 2 meals per day. Everyone has textbooks. They get a free uniform. So there's a lot of services, provided, quality teachers. We keep our classroom sizes below 30, and so on and so forth. So they're getting a, first-rate education for that.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's amazing to keep them off the street itself. Most of those kids. Are you trying to keep your class size level to a specific, level? Like, how many kids per class can you take on per term?
I tried to keep it at 25, but they keep pushing me to 30. So somehow we always end up with 30.
Okay.
25 was my hard stop, and yet you'll find 30 in every one of our classes. They can't believe that I'll actually turn people's money away, but I keep trying to explain to them like why it's so important. That the class size is small. So 30 is our maximum.
Okay. And how did COVID affect you guys? Like the school, what challenges are you finding with COVID, for example? I know kids are not in school, so how are you keeping in touch with your students and parents?
Yeah, I mean, and this is where our donors, have really came in. We have people who support us at just the $1 a day level, so $30 a month. And that's really how I've built this organization. And, we kind of found out how important I called them pandemic proof in our last event, because they really have been. And so while, I'm sure you've seen all the headlines, schools have had to close, and we didn't have to do that. So we've been able to pay our staff at 100% throughout the entire pandemic, thanks to the support, from donors that we have. And we're still continuing homeschooling. As far as we know, we're the only school in the district that we know of that's still doing it. So
what do you mean homeschooling? How are you doing the homeschooling?
They actually walk door to door and deliver.
Oh, wow.
And then they visit, they try to visit each student 3 times per week, with an emphasis more on students who don't have literate parents, or who need, inactive parents who need a little extra push. They visit them more often. And then the ones, that have teachers as parents, for example, they don't get quite as many visits. But our staff have completed over 4,000 home visits, just walking door to door, delivering the workbooks, and they work through the workbooks. And then for our older students, our other scholars, we're doing the same. Like because what we're finding is, sure, the government puts out these lessons on the radios, but in the rural communities, the children's families don't have income for trash sales, or they won't waste it on educational lessons, right? They need it for the news and other more important things. So another NGO did a survey, and it's found that only 20% of students in Uganda are receiving the educational services that have been put out by the government.
Wow.
And you can imagine in rural areas like where we work, that number is probably much smaller.
Yeah, maybe 1%. Because the other day I was watching, somebody posted a clip from NTV News. They were interviewing students on the street who, like random kids who used to be in school, and they're all like, no, we're not going back to school. Like, no, we're old now, like all the girls. And it just like broke my heart just to see them, and them saying, hey, I was in senior 3. I cannot go back to senior 3 because now the kids who were below me will see me as very old. And some of the boys decided to join like small businesses. And now they're like, no, I've been making money. Why do I need to go back to school? So I feel like this is going to be a huge challenge, having kids going back to school.
And that's why we've not ever discontinued our services, right? Because you see them start to lose hope, and we're just keeping that hope alive by saying, no, you keep doing your packets, and you're still going to graduate, because they know their fees will be catered for, their school is still open. I feel like they've had to lose hope in quite exactly that same way, to think that there might not be something there. And actually, it's quite impressive, because the 203 girls who were enrolled in our Girls Empowerment Program, we took that virtual as well. And so we gave them income generating activities to do at home, and not one of them got married or became pregnant. Not one. Zero.
Nice. That's good. That's
And,
good.
the pregnancy and marriage and teen marriage rates are just skyrocketing across the entire country. So that was one of my proudest accomplishments, from COVID, was keeping those girls,
engaged and busy and focused on something. Now, what programs were they doing? When you say women empowerment, what are those things they're doing? I know when we met, you had some crafts and things that I think the women had made. So, but explore more on that.
So the girls get to choose, and we think it's important that they get to choose. So they can either do crafts, gardening, or agriculture, or livestock. I guess that's also agriculture. But yeah, they pick from a seed packet or a small animal or the crafting materials. And we've seen some of the girls take their one rabbit now, and now their rabbits had babies, they sold those, they bought chickens, or they bought something else, and then they sold those. And, several of them now have goats even, which, might not sound like a big deal to us, but it's huge. I mean, that's
huge. Yes.
About a couple weeks income for an adult.
Yes.
Where we work, because, goats are roughly $75, and most of these women make 5,000 shillings a day. So, I mean, that can be up to, a month or more of income. So for these young girls to now be having, livestock, it's big. And then the women have their goats. And so we wanted to make sure that program was sustainable. So they're not allowed to graduate until they have 7 goats. So by that time, we hope that they've got it right. They understand these goats reproduce rapidly. If I don't sell this off the next time I have an emergency, I'm still going to have income in the future. So they keep 5 of them. And they donate 2 back to us. 1 to cover the cost of the program, so the veterinary costs and the monitoring costs, and the second one gets given to another woman. So the program is entirely self-sustaining. It requires no income from anywhere once we get it started. So I guess time will tell, but I'm really counting on these women not to sell off their herds.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, it doesn't only give them that opportunity to make money and stuff, but it's like, I don't know, like they start to be responsible and look at, I have 2 goats now, once the goats have babies, I can actually sell the other goats and maybe buy a cow. And wow, that's impressive. It starts to get them thinking long-term and how sustainability of their incomes and stuff. Wow, that's great. Now, I see when I talk to many people who do community services, I see people engaging in, let's say, if they are dealing with girls, like making sanitary towels, recyclable pads or whatever they say, like the cloth kind. I find that's an amazing idea as well. Growing up back in the village, I remember in high school when I first got my periods, my mom could not afford pads and things like that. So she had to cut clothes. And I mean, I was in a girls' school, but I can't imagine how you'd be in a mixed school with boys there, and you get your periods and somehow it goes through your uniforms. So I'm so touched by such initiatives. Are you doing something similar?
Yeah, that's part of our Girls Empowerment program. Okay. So in that program, when it's open in school, we weren't able to do it this year because it was virtual.
Yeah.
But when we run it through the school system, that is part of the program, is they learn to make the reusable pads. And that's another way also for them to earn additional income once they're trained, on how to make them. And we've also partnered with AfriPads in the past to give them as graduation gifts. But then we started thinking, well, sure, they have them, they last for a year, but then what happens when that year
ends?
So we're constantly working towards, trying to be more sustainable, like you said. And so then we started making them ourselves.
If the girls can just make them at home, if anything, too, with the done. This is Africa Says. This is a big homegrown program in Tibera that makes those. Might be something that some in Uganda might want to copy. Yeah, I think this is Africa. I think it's I mean, it's a great move. I love like such initiatives in communities, mostly for girls. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm a mother of two boys, so I feel bad just like focusing on girls. But I feel like the girls usually have more challenges and their body changes kind of like affect them differently from boys. And I remember there's a school in the West, the school I went to, I introduced some organization that was teaching girls how to make sanitary pads. And last week, I actually learned that, yes, they started making those pads in the school. And that was heartwarming for me to learn that they can actually do that themselves. So what have been the challenges you faced, Andrea, throughout your empowerment, your time in Africa? Yeah.
Yeah, fundraising is always hard. Getting volunteers, is always hard. Those are the standard things that, kind of blanket. I mean, to be honest, corruption, dealing with the corruption in Uganda is a constant uphill battle that we face every day. But, during COVID, it's just been hard. Even our families, like I said, we have paying students.
Yeah.
I mean, the schools have been closed now for 20 months. Like, we even started to see families who used to own businesses, who used to drive bodas, really start to struggle.
Yeah.
And it's been hard to watch that decline. And so we've been trying to do a bean seed project. So we gave them all seeds to plant. And then similar to our other programs, they have to give some back so that the next season they're still there.
Yes. The seeds idea was a great idea. When I talked to you and you told me, I was like, how else can you feed the community? And you buy these seeds at like, I don't know, maybe $2 a kg or $1 a kg, and that's going to produce food worth a month.
Yeah.
If they grow it. And now, does everybody have a piece of land?
Not everyone. For those people, we did just have to give them a package, and that was that. But everybody who had land, was given enough for a medium-sized garden. Yes, 20 months. Schools have not been open for 20 months.
Yes, they haven't. Yeah, and we still don't know when they're opening. Hi, Eunice. I know Eunice is from Kabale. Yes. Well, yeah. So we were talking about land. Not everybody has land, a piece of land.
Yeah, some of them do the container gardens, where they put them, and those have been successful for small scale growing, at least to keep their families, fed until we can get things back on track. But I'm really hoping that the country reopens in January. And another thing that was really hard was we kept pretty rigorous health statistics on our students. And we knew that, in a country where a third of students are stunted, that after 18 months at our school, we had 0 stunted students.
Yeah. So you talked to me about stunted students.
Yeah.
So how was that for you? Like watching like those kids coming, how are you able to monitor those kids?
I mean, we're not, and I mean, it could undo all of the progress. I mean, obviously we've been, doing the initiatives I said, giving their families seeds to plant, delivering food packages to those that are really vulnerable, who are child-headed households, or who, are living with their grandparents and things like that. But yeah, I'm really worried that when these kids come back to school, that we may see some decline in all the progress.
Yes.
Made, and that's why we wanted to start with them at 3, was to really set them up for success in every aspect: nutrition, healthcare, so that's been really hard. Even though we're doing the best we can, it's not the same as getting 2 hot meals a day at school.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Now, does the school have like a community garden? Is that something you do? Okay.
And that's where we grew some of the seedlings. So in addition to giving out the bean seeds, we actually grew, and we gave out over 11,000 seedlings that were grown on the school premises.
On the school garden.
We gave them to transplant to our families and our beneficiaries at their own homes after we had gotten them, propagated or whatever. So we do.
Yeah, because I think that's also a good initiative. Like when I lived downtown Philly, I remember starting, like one time I was walking in one of the ghetto areas and whatever, and I started out like training soccer kids, like kids you'd find on the street. I was like, hey, I started like talking to them, like, can I talk to your parents? And we started like a soccer group. But my goal was to like get them off the street as much as I can. Like, school ends at around 3. And so these kids, like mostly 10 years, 11 years, they're just walking down on the street, and it takes them like 2 hours to get home on a distance of 5 minutes. And then initially, like all of them were eating like burgers and stuff, like unhealthy foods. So I reached out to the community and I said, hey, I see you guys have a space here. How about I start growing beans and tomatoes and that.
Awesome.
Like, so the guy was like, oh, sure. It was like a Black community in like, West Philly, if you're familiar with Philadelphia. So he's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's in a gate, whatever you want to do with it.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I went and planted, beans and eggplants and tomatoes. And every after practice, I'll take the boys there. I'm like, hey, so see, you have to pull out the weeds. This is how the beans grow. And after everything was grown, of course, we shared with them for the communities. And most people had never had fresh beans.
Wow.
They were like, what are these exactly? What do you do with them? And like tomatoes and stuff. So I think people started to, and then would teach about clean eating, healthy eating. And if you're going to be great in sports, you have to eat healthy. These are some of the things like plant-based foods,
right?
So, but so I think that is also a good way you'd have like the community women, for example, be part of like the gardens.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's why they do the mushrooms too. I mean, those
go nice.
Into the community and, to provide extra nutrition. And we actually, our seminar that got canceled because of COVID, it was supposed to be about nutrition. And if I went, and the last time I visited, I noticed that kids were bringing soda to school, and it's a status symbol. Apparently, like if you can afford soda, then like you're like the cool kid.
Oh yeah, because soda, yes, it's like
I put a stop to that.
It's one of those treats. Oh wow.
Yeah, so I mean that's something that I've hope to continue once things are back up and running.
Yeah. So how else are you able to, like to keep kids feeling the same? I know one of the things that mostly growing up in Africa, we wore uniforms. So you all had to wear the same uniform. Nobody's wearing Gucci, nobody's wearing MK here and there, which I find hard in our, schools here with my boys. Everybody has to wear Nike. If you're not wearing Nike, you're not that cool. Status. So how are you, like, what do you do for the kids? Like, what is the talk with such kids to not down their esteem, mostly those who might be like from poor families?
I mean, again, I'm going to be transparent. That's been a struggle with our staff, because that comes from parents and teachers, and even educated people in Uganda in the rural communities tend to shame students who don't keep school clean. And so, it's just been an ongoing topic of discussion that I've had with our staff over and over and over again about how it's not the child's fault. If parents don't send them to school clean. So we clean them at school sometimes so that they don't, feel different or ostracized by the other kids, and so that they're not, singled out or picked on. And as I mentioned before, we, try to take in supplemental things to those families. When it's become an issue where we realize the home environment is just not conducive. We do have a few students who live with our teachers, our younger teachers.
Okay.
So, and that's extreme cases, because we always try to keep children with families. But there are some extreme cases where, we've had to send them to boarding school, would be cared for because they kept, coming with jiggers and, just in environments that were not healthy. But training your staff,
it's hard.
Practices for, making sure that everyone is included, everyone, feels excited about being there and loved exactly the same way, I think is the best method that we found to go about it.
Yeah. This is Africa has a comment here. Has there been talk about community farming where a small group of neighbors benefits from their work if they don't own land, like share land ownership or let parts or plots from one landowner to grow crops? Yeah. What do you say about that, Andrea?
That was our vision for our mushroom cooperative. And to be, again, quite frank, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
just always honest.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of times people over project what a project can do.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't been super successful in finding projects that actually make money on a small scale. Sure, if you have acres of land,
Yeah.
you can turn a profit on agricultural projects. But I have yet for someone to produce to me accurate numbers for small scale farming that can actually make a profit that would benefit community members. So with our mushroom program, for example, the projections I was given said that we would have enough income for all of these women to split something and have something at the end of each month.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
not true. We've bought spawn from so many different places, and so that's why we launched the goats, because I didn't want to disappoint them, that the mushrooms didn't really turn out like we expected. So I'm open to all suggestions, but
Yeah.
on a small scale, it's really hard
It's hard.
to make
It's hard.
money. Or
Yeah.
to make the type of money that can support more than one person, right? Sure, if you're growing on a small scale, you can support your family. But beyond that, to support like 20 women, like you would have to have a huge, huge plot of land, which we just don't.
Yeah, I think on average you'd need about at least 5 acres of land.
Right.
So 5 acres of land, and also depends on what you grow. And because some things grow within 3 months, some things grow within 6 months. So it depends on what you grow. But if you planted things like maize, like beans, those are things that, in even 1 acre of land, yes, you might get, let's say, 10 sacks of beans. So that 10 sacks of beans, I don't know how much a sack of bean costs, and it depends on how many people you have in that project as well. If it's like 20 people, 30 people, no, that's not going to cut it. If it's 5 people, yes. At the end of the 3 months, you may find that if you sold those 10 sacks of beans, each sack, let's say, is like 20,000 shillings. Maybe each person gets like 20,000 shillings. But yes, you need a bigger kind of land. So I think
land is so expensive. So you have to calculate like how many years would you have to grow crops to even pay for the land price. It's
the land price.
Yeah, that's the struggles that we face. But that's why we're focusing on the goats, because the goats, you don't have to have land. They just eat, whatever's around. As long as they have food and shelter, it's foolproof. So that's why we put like most of our focus there, because that seems to be, at least in the rural communities, the most cost effective, and it gives outputs.
Yes. I think the whole goat and even cow, cows are more expensive than goats. Like, I'm from a farm back home in Uganda. So goats mature really fast.
Right.
So like you get a baby goat in like 8 months, it's already ready to have more babies.
Right.
So it's a project that I've seen work. Even like when my mom was still alive in her village, she was like the head of women. So she headed like all those poor women projects, you'd say, where like some were like widows and stuff. They had like their own association going, and they would do goats. So like every year, like if this goat gives birth to 2 babies, then the one baby goes to this family, and then this family. So it was like just going around. And by the time like all the group is done, now it's going twice, and everybody owns a goat. Everybody owns 2 goats. Like in a year, and then they would check in after a year to see how everybody's doing. What projects do they need to, like they would visit homes, like community visits. So whereby like this Sunday, they would all gather at somebody's house, and then they will check on the hygiene of that house. Like if somebody, like, how are the kids doing? Is your house clean? So they would do like thorough, like my mom was like, she's like, hey, if any house his phone like not clean, then you kind of get like a punishment. I don't know what the punishment was. But so everybody would have to like make sure they're clean. And then sometimes they would say, we might have surprise visits. So it would keep everybody in check. And then of course, like it was only usually for women, and then like Christmas time or every other, maybe after 6 months, they would meet and have like lunch together, listen to all the stories. That's when you would discover things like domestic violence habits in there. So, but women were always like open to talk about these things with their fellow women. And then from there, you'd see how to help each other. So I think those are great and creates like such a great bond within the community. Everybody becomes like a watching person for the other family. So
right.
I think that was good. Winball is asking, what sort of volunteering can one do remotely?
We have all of our opportunities posted on Volunteer Match. Or you can feel free just to email the info@rukundointernational.org and we can send you that link.
Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, when I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You're in Europe, you can do it. Taya says, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Africa needs more initiatives like this. Yes. I agree. Even amidst challenges, I really want to thank you, Andrea, for what you're doing. So what are your goals? Like, what are you envisioning in 5 years from now? Where are you taking Rukundo and your kids?
Yeah, so we want to finish our school. As I mentioned, we're just launching P3. Hopefully, if they choose to graduate, we don't really know. It's so ambiguous right now if they're going to promote the students, if they're going to hold them back. But so that means we still have 4 more classrooms to build. So we have to build out to P7. So that's our immediate goal, is to finish our school. And of course, we hope that we've set those kids up by the time we followed them from 3 years old up to P7 to be world changers. I mean, that's our school goal, is to really affect them holistically so that they have every single tool that they need to become, citizens who give back. We build community service into everything we do. So we hope that we're, creating world changers through our little school. Obviously, secondary, and I'm sure we'll support some of them in that. I guess time will tell if we decide to do a secondary school. But as of right now, we plan to focus on the young ones. So just keep our primary.
Yeah.
But we would like to expand our girls empowerment program, our community initiatives, for sure. Hey, Ruth.
Ruth, we're sorry. We're here. I'm here with your buddy. So tell us, Ruth. Thank you guys for joining us. It's just so many people. I think everyone was like busy on Facebook, and I can't like juggle my Facebook and that's when I commented and everything. But we appreciate your inputs. I'll go back to the Facebook chats there and respond to all of you guys. But I'm so glad you tuned in. I'll look at your suggestions, any suggestions that you might have for Andrea. We'll definitely be responding to you guys. And I'll put Andrea's information in the descriptions. Like if you're on Facebook, please go to our YouTube channel and follow us from there, comment there, because that's usually where I go to see how the video is doing. And like if I have any people reaching out or asking to reach out, that's usually easy for me to follow and respond to you guys. So go to YouTube and like and subscribe. And Rukundo International has a YouTube channel as well, right, Andrea?
Yeah, we're not so active on YouTube, but we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So you can follow us there. I mean, we do have things on YouTube, just not
not that a lot. Yeah. So we'll be posting all the links to their social media so you guys can check out what new updates they have from the organization as well. But let us continue here. So I see, Andrea, have you heard of Farmer called YouTube? Yes, I have heard of that guy. Yes, he's amazing. And I actually will be hosting him soon. Maybe he could actually share with us more, because he's a doctor. He's originally a doctor, like a medical doctor. And he quit, he's young, he quit being a doctor to do farming. But he's been doing amazing work in like but again, he started buying more land. But pretty much on his channel, he shows you if you have like 1 acre, how you can do goats, you can do pigs at the same time, you could do chicken at the same time. And he like teaches you, he shows you, because he has like the practical things. But absolutely, we'll be having Farm Up here to share with us one time, because we want people in Kabale to, our babies to grow and eat healthy, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Really enjoying this program. Andrea and the Rukundo team are amazing. We in Kabale love the school, which is raising well-rounded children, and they are for real impacting the community on the ground. Ow!
Thanks, Ruth. We love you guys too.
You two are like amazing. You're doing amazing stuff for the kids. So yes, kudos to
Trying
you.
our best. That's all we can do.
No, trust me, the people who don't try. So the fact that you came up with an idea and you started it, it's already a success. It's already winning. I say it's winning already. Let's see what is Ruth saying. Brenda, you give a good interview. Kudos, Chikazi. Thanks, Ruth. Is Brenda Essex Fund Solutions? Hi, buddy. Anyway, so we will talk. Okay, so do you have Andrea, do you envision bringing kids, like doing international programs? You know how people do those things, like bringing like maybe a few kids here, like maybe summer, you do like those programs, like soccer programs. I'm more into soccer on my end with the younger kids. So, but I know like the club I'm in takes some kids to Africa sometimes.
Okay.
For like summer programs, like for 2 weeks maybe. And then they bring the kids from Africa here also to, you know, like just that experience, that exposure. It could be an initiative where you could actually do fundraising for them, whereby they can afford the tickets and maybe housing for them. You could start with like 5 kids. This could be something to do with like kids who do well in class, for example,
right,
or who excel at a project. You're like, if you do this, this is your award,
right.
Kind of reward for you at the end of this. Maybe that might be, you know, a good empowering program for the kids.
Yeah, it's definitely something to think about, especially as our kids get
Yeah,
older. They're a little
bigger. Yeah.
By the time we get to P7, definitely something to think about. We do take a team from the U.S. once a year.
Oh, nice.
During non-COVID
yes
times, just to have the cross-cultural learning experience.
Okay.
We don't really believe that people in the U.S. can do things better than people in Uganda. So we don't do the whole "you're going to go build a school" thing, because there's plenty of people in Uganda who can build schools. So we do provide an opportunity, you know, just for people to meet people outside their own culture and engage with them and learn about the beauty, you know, of Uganda and its people and the food and things like that. So it's more of like a cross-cultural learning trip than like a service trip.
Yes.
And we do that once per year if anyone wants to. My passion is actually to have first-generation Ugandans come to volunteer with us so that they experience Uganda in a different way than they do when they visit their relatives in Kampala.
Yes, that's true. Like most people just like visit Kampala. Let's see here. I see some questions coming in. Let's see. I saw people coming in here. See, this is Africa. Hello, amazing people. Hey, Makazi. This one is my friend in Kenya. Makazi is saying hello. Let's see. God bless you too. Thank you. Okay. So we have great job, Andrea. I come from Kabale and I chanced upon your Instagram account and I was inspired. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Ruth.
Awesome. Yeah, please visit the school sometimes and see how you can impact Ruth. I know you're awesome as well. So see if you can go there, if you need to talk to the kids, inspire them with something. I think most kids need such stuff. You need like other voices, other faces to like talk to them, reaffirm their self-esteem, for example. Just because you're in the village does not mean you can't make it.
Yes.
The world is just open for you. So sometimes they need like an extra person to talk to them. Yeah.
I had a group of 22 Ugandan volunteers yesterday here at my house.
Yeah.
A local like moms group who to just volunteer. And that's exactly what I told them. Like, these kids that I work with don't need me to tell them that they can be successful, because they don't believe me. They think I'm successful only because I'm white.
Yes.
And I told them, I need Ugandan voices, like people whose grandparents, lived these same lives, and, to show them that they can be successful. So that's sometimes the best ways, that people can get involved, is just being mentors for the kids, because I can't, serve in that capacity in the same way.
I agree. Sometimes, like people, unfortunately, but people relate more. Like they'll say, hey, this is maybe a Black person who lives in the US is now talking to me, makes a difference, you're white, you're supposed to be successful anyways, like in their minds. So,
it makes it hard.
Yeah. So Murkazi says, if I have to look for that school. Yes. Murkazi, you were just in Uganda, but I think you do an amazing work with the kids, like doing your fitness programs with them in the morning. So you'd have to travel to Kabale. Kabale is about how like 6 hours from Kampala?
That's Ugandan time. It's more like 7. They'll tell you 6, but it's 7 or 8. Ugandan, it's 6.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, 6 or 8. Yeah, so it's kind of a hike. Yes, but you know what? It's all fun because it's like the whole drive is amazing. It has like beautiful sceneries, like the mountains, and like everything is really like you're on a safari to me. Yeah. So I never, like, before you know it, you're there.
Yep.
Nothing boring.
Lake Bunyonyi is, something.
Oh my gosh, Lake Bunyonyi, yes. How far are you from Lake Bunyonyi?
I mean, not far, like a couple miles.
A couple miles, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go pretty far up the hill. But yeah, it's not far, maybe a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, I need to tell Kansime to come visit the kids one of these days.
I've tried.
You have tried?
Oh. Yes. She even gave me her number when she was here in DC, but she never texted me back. You tell her to respond to my
I'm sure I'm sending her this video.
She's right there. I went.
Yes, I think she would be amazing. Like these kids need such people, like especially like local people. Like Kansime inspires so many people. First of all, she's from Kabale. Exactly. So she's definitely like, everybody knows her. Like all those kids, like the moment she steps, they're like, Kansime. So she's a role model for most of those kids. So it would be amazing for her to go. I'm going to hunt her down. I have her phone number.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her there because I think...
let me see. Kansime, if you're listening.
Exactly. Yeah, I've definitely been trying that.
Okay, we'll try again, Andrea. This has to happen. It has to happen. Because we could even we can treat the kids to her resort, her place, for like lunch, like a little picnic for the kids.
Yeah,
that would be
it's a
awesome.
Really cool place. Have you been?
Yeah, backpackers, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
One of the things I love is how Rukundo's board in Uganda comprises of passionate Kabale locals. I mean, that is huge because the moment you kind of give the locals, you put them in charge or in power, all they want is like the best for their own town, for their own village. So it's like you cutting off the hands that feed you, like how are you going to eat? So when those kids shine, their area shines, they shine. So I think you made a great move there. But Ruth, so are you. Like everybody on your board, I think it's from Kabale, if I'm not mistaken. I love her. I love her for years, having fun, laugh at her jokes. Yeah, Kansima is hilarious.
She
Trust
is.
me, she's hilarious. Anyway, guys, we're almost at the top of the hour. I don't want us to go past the hour. But Andrea, what are your last remarks? How can we reach out to you? How can we be part of your organization? What would you suggest? Anybody who's watching, anybody who will be watching later, how can they help you succeed with this organization?
Sure. I think one of our biggest struggles is just breaking outside of my personal bubble. So the organization to this point has been sustained by my friends, my family, my church, my little community. And I've just reached as far as I can go. Like, I don't have anyone else.
Yeah.
Small, I'm not in an affluent, I come from a very small place in West Virginia. It's not filled with affluent people, but many of them give $1 a day. So the best thing you can do is just tell people about what we do, because that's really the key to us moving to another level, is getting more people outside of my community involved in what we're doing. And I think we have the metrics and the resume now, to prove to people, that we can manage your money well. Almost 100% of the money goes exactly where it's supposed to be going. We're run by, local Ugandans. I feel like we're trying to do everything we can to be sustainable and set ourselves up for success. So we just need more people to join us on that journey. And I think people don't realize, they think the only way they can help is give money, but that's not true. Just spreading that awareness, following us on social media, sharing our posts, asking people to buy our items, our kids and the things we have here. Those have a very good sell-through rate here in the United States for all cultures. Everybody likes the baskets to put their junk in or to put on the wall. So we do have a shop on our website. So if you're looking for holiday gifts, or just spreading the word about that shop, your friend and family, if you have a church we could partner with, things like that, just spreading the word about who we are and what we do.
It's funny you just mentioned church and you just talked about a church. This is Africa. You're from the West. You're in Missouri. No, not Missouri. But anyway, joined with other churches to have greater impact, he's asking.
So I'm not really church sponsored, because I don't believe that you should tie meeting basic needs with evangelism. I am a Christian. Our school is Christian, but I'm not religiously backed, which was hard for the Ugandans to understand. But it also creates problems within Uganda, because they want to know, are you Episcopalian? Are you Catholic? And then the Catholics will boycott us and say, well, I'm not sending my kids there because you guys are clearly not Catholic. And I'm like, no, we're non-denominational.
We're not affiliated to any religion.
Affiliated religions and missions that are affiliated with religion oftentimes create a divide that I didn't want to be there in our programs. So we are not officially affiliated with any church, because we don't want to send that message that you're not welcome here if you're not part of that particular sect of Christianity. Because if you don't think those divisions are present in the rural communities, you haven't been.
Yes, I agree.
Seriously, one time I visited a church there just because it was the church that one of our teachers went to, and literally the Catholics stopped sending their kids to our programs. Because they were like, well, now we know she's not Catholic. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even go to church now.
Wow.
And then we had to go around and I had to make the same amount of donations to all the Catholic churches.
It's just like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's just like me wearing a yellow color and everybody will be like, you're NRM. I'm like, oh my gosh, now I can't even wear my clothes. And then every time I wear red, nobody says anything.
Convincing them to get red uniforms was really hard.
It's
red.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, these colors existed before your parties. Get over yourselves.
I try to be really careful to make sure that we are accepting of all religions. We are not affiliated, with religion. We are Christian, and that's the beginning and the end.
Yeah, I think, the best places, other than church, I think would be schools. Depending on where you are in Virginia, there's some of these schools that have no idea, kids have no idea what happens in Africa. Right. So, and I find here, where I am too, every year they have a program where they write about different things, maybe African Culture Day or something like that. But you find maybe like, like talking to them or showing them, like if you partnered with like the principals, so that maybe one day you could go into the school and,
Right.
I mean, you're in teaching anyways, you're in their sector anyways, but associating with the schools, and the schools can, like it can be like a sister school kind of thing.
Yeah.
Might also increase on the awareness of our Rukundo international programs back home. So, but for sure, it's all on us. Let's all do our part to help. I think they're good initiatives, Andrea. Raising better educated little African boys, African girls, empowering rural women. I think all those are amazing initiatives that you're doing. So let's see how we can be part of this, how we can support. Let me see, Virginia Tech. And
we're actually in Gaithersburg, Maryland, but it is very close to Northern Virginia. So Virginia Tech is a little more southern, but we're near like University of Maryland in DC, like about 15 miles outside. So
yeah. So I mean, how else can people help apart from spreading awareness? I think that's the main thing. I like that you're recently attending like Uganda conventions. That's also another good ground working area where people get to see you. Like that's how I met you. So that worked.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, donating and volunteering are the other, two main.
Now, with that, they can actually go online on your website and able to fill in their volunteer information, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and you can shop, from there at our store and get those links and things like that too.
Okay, cool. Anyway, guys, it's top of the hour. Andrea, I want to say thank you so much. We'll keep in touch, definitely. I'm going to be part of this community as well. Anytime you need me, anytime you're like, Brenda, I need you to, I have this initiative going. I need you to help me advertise it. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
I can take on your maybe social media, helping out here and there, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. And then we'll see how we can help out and get this growing. Other than that, you are amazing.
Thank you. You
don't get tired yet. Don't get tired. It's just, you're like here, you're still going. Like the project still needs you.
We're too far in to get tired. We have to keep going. So
yeah, we have to keep going. When you feel like you're drowning, reach out to us.
Thank you.
See how we can help as a community. You have so many Ugandans here now. I live just maybe 2 hours, 3 hours from you. I'm in Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. So we can always meet and have tea, coffee, and talk about more ways to have this happen.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the Ugandan community has been so welcoming, to me, whether it's Bob or Una and all of you guys individually. I'm just super thankful that, you're appreciative of what we do and I'm just welcoming the community. So thank you guys for that. And thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you guys who joined us on Facebook and here on YouTube. Take care, Andrea, and everybody else. Take care as well. Have a great Saturday. Let everybody go have some tea, maybe.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, Andrea.